about the genesis of this very program and also HCL's interest in the sport like squash. Sundar, over to you.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, media friends, for joining us and listening to us on some of the things we got announced today. Of course, and great thanks to Children's Cyrus and the people behind the entire squash movement in India, which you will hopefully see much more of as we move forward. We're very excited, very hopeful about that. So that's something we hope to see going forward. But let me start off a little bit about HCL. HCL, as you know, is a technology organization. It was set up by Shiv Nadar in 1976. And we have been working currently a $30 billion organization, working across the globe in various countries, about 2.5 lakh employees. So a very large distributed organization that we have. And what we like to believe in HCL, given the fact that we do so much work for so many different companies and so many very interesting, innovative solutions across the world, our thinking is that what we actually do, if you think about it at the heart of it, is we help multiply or maximize human potential. So the way we discuss our brand, Rajat here, who's the head of the brand, and we thought about this many years ago, in fact, and thought about the fact that what is the core of HCL? So we feel that the core of the organization is all about multiplying or maximizing the potential of human beings. So that's how we think of ourselves. That's our journey. Yes, we do software, we do technology, we do healthcare, we do all of that. But at the core, it's all about multiplying human potential or maximizing human potential. Now, that's all very nice to say, but what does that really mean? So for that, we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we talk about, or how do you think about maximizing human potential? And what occurred to us was that there are 2-3 key fields where human potential is that's when you see potential when it comes out, really see it at the best. And that, I think, my friends, is sport. All of you are, I'm sure, followers of sport. Whatever be the sport, be it cricket, be it football, be it squash, there are moments in the sport where you can see the player sort of jumping out of his skin and proving himself beyond the normal reaches of what you expect him to do. I'm sure Harinder here, as one of our champions, has experienced, he may not experience it, but we, watching him, have experienced it many times. The value of the sports person in actually looking at what he does and actually taking the potential forward and making the complete difference in my mind from what we see as average and normal to something that's extraordinary. And so that is the core of what I call, to my mind, the relationship of sport with human potential. And so we, as HCL, we felt the best way to look at, to take our message forward, to take the brand message forward, was to look at sport and see what we could do to support sport and support specific sport, because there are so many sports, and obviously as an organization we can't support them all. But we felt it's important to choose some sports and actually work with it's not just a matter of sponsoring something or doing, let's say, one event or one initiative, but to actually work with the sport, to actually help not just multiply the potential of chosen few or actually the sport already, but many more people to come. So in that conversation, we started our journey in 2016 with Mr. Ramachandran, Cyrus, and the entire Squash Federation, Racket Federation of India, where we felt and we worked with them, and we've been working with them since, and it's been, in my mind, a wonderful journey. And we felt that what could we do? We worked quite closely together, and Rajat and Cyrus will tell you a little bit about the details of what we talked about. But I just want to leave the thought here to say that the whole point is that the federation comes forward and thinks in terms of it's a very forward-looking federation. And so there's always constantly thought in terms of not resting on one's laurels, seeing what we can do to take the sport forward, move forward, and see what we can do to keep growing and keep doing better. And similarly, we kept thinking in terms of that, what could we do to keep growing, keep doing better. So the first program, in a sense, that we sort of built was something called the Squash Podium Program, HCL Squash Podium Program, where the whole point was, how do we bring our players and the India players up to the podium, let them do podium finishes, in a sense, right? And see what we could do to support that. And for that, so many activities that we have done in terms of coaches, in terms of doing tournaments, in terms of coaching camps, etc., etc. So today, of course, my objective here, the objective of today's conference is not to tell you about that. Happy to talk about that in detail. We can spend hours talking about the things that we have done thus far and what we would like to do going forward. But I think today is more about some new things or interesting things that we're doing. Maybe not new, but certainly interesting. And certainly something that we want to take forward that we are planning right now. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to leave space for my other people in the dais to talk about that and tell you a little bit more about what exactly are we planning in terms of how do we take the sport forward. So quickly to summarize, HCL, we believe in maximizing of human potential. Squash as a sport is the one area we felt was really key and important for us to look at this. And we have been working with the SRFF from 2016 onwards. We hope to continue for quite some time. There's no end game. There's no finish line, as the Nike Post used to say. And so therefore we hope that as we move forward, we will take. Thank you for your attention. Back to you, Alicia.
Thank you, Sundar, for reflecting on
School in rural areas. Yes, so we've presently gone to a few schools, and corporation schools is what we are looking at to start out with. So we have visited schools to identify the areas where we can conduct the program. So that process has already started. We've started it in Chennai. We've also done it in the NCR region also. We are already looking around.
How many schools you are going to have time?
So we are open to as many schools as possible. So we have started going one by one. We visited a dozen schools in both locations, and we hope to expand.
Is it open for both girls and boys?
Absolutely, yes.
any more questions? Yes, on this side.
Hello, sir. So usually there are 4 tournaments. There will be 4 tournaments in the HCL SRFI India Tour, if I'm not mistaken, right? So this time it's 5, right? Like sir said, it's going to be 5, right? And they are going to be, those tournaments are going to be held in new cities, isn't it?
So the slams, we've got 4 slams, north, south, east, west, and along with it, we've got the Indian Junior Open, which also has a PSA event, so that's why it becomes 5. 5 international events.
5 PSA
Yes.
tournaments.
In addition to that, we've got the senior national championships as well. So 6 events.
Until last year, it was 4 PSA events, right?
Yes, so this year there's 5 PSA.
5, and they'll be held in new venues.
Yes.
Okay.
To add to that, when we started off, we had only about half a dozen events. Now we do on an average 50 plus events in a year in various locations, not just Tamil Nadu alone, in all the states. About 50, more than 50, 57 we did one last year. And also, we have the closed state championships for each state. We have now, but I think SRFI has 24 states and 2 union territories. In each of that, you have only state events also, where the state event, nobody from outside the state can come and participate. It's a closed state event. That's the best way to bring up the event. Because, for example, we do a nationals in Chennai, not many people will come because they know who are going to be the winners. But when you do a state event, you have that the little boys and girls will come up.
Sir, one question here. So generally there is an understanding or misunderstanding that unlike the other modes of sport, squash hasn't received its due mileage. Now that the floodgates have been opened and a lot of things are happening, events are also forthcoming, how do you look at the future of the sport in the coming decade?
If you look at the existing situation today, you have had a ball boy from the Madras Cricket Club being turned into a level 2 coach. His English is not great, but as a coach, he's super. So likewise, you have referees today. Like I said earlier on, there was only 1 international referee. Today there are nearly more than a dozen referees, and I think 2 world referees. With this type of ecosystem which HCL is bringing in, they are bringing in company practices into a sport, which is not very easy, let me tell you that. Because a company has a different viewpoint, the federation might have a different viewpoint. But a mix of both is ideal for a federation. And we are reasonably certain in the decade we said, we will have a world champion. I assure you that.
On the part of grassroots squash, is there any plan for going to tier 2 cities too for the talent hunt rather than Chennai?
In Tamil Nadu, even in tier 3 cities, we are getting players who are well above the average. So,
Is there any plan in your?
Certainly, as Mr. Ramchandran said, and this is something I'm advocating to everyone. This year, we had a junior national champion, girls under 13 from Jharkhand. If you had asked me this 5 years ago, I would have, we wouldn't have dreamt of such a thing, but we got a national champion. So certainly, it's been spreading across the country, and not only in the metro cities, it is tier 2, tier 3 cities. Squash is really developing across the country, so it's a very positive state. We have a 16-year-old player, Anahat Singh, who participated in the Commonwealth Games. She was one of the youngest. She went on to the Asian Games, won medals at the Asian Games, is a top 8 in the World Junior Championship. So development is certainly there, and we hope we have more. Here we have 1 or 2. Our idea is to have a factory of them.
When is this going to happen? Like, is there any time? When is this talent hunt going to happen?
We've already started, and it's going to, of course, it's in order to bring in so many people and get all the grassroots, it is going to take time, but we've already started, so we are on our way.
Any more questions?
So my question is to Ramachandran. So your thoughts on Joshna being awarded, conferred the Padma Shri award. What does it mean for the sport in the country? And if you can tell us about how befitting it is for her to receive that honor.
see, whenever a sports player gets an award from Government of India, it is recognition of your ability in that particular sport. Joshna is I don't think anybody will beat her record unless the only person whom I can think of possibly Anahat Singh. Joshna has battled injuries all her life, but still continues to play. And getting a Padma Shri from the government for her, I think is the best recognition for the sport. Earlier on you had many other players, but getting it for a woman, Deepika Palikal has also got an Arjuna Awardee, she's an Arjuna Awardee and a Padma Shri. So I think that is the best encouragement for youngsters from the other gender to, as an example, be as an example for all the other female players in India. And Anahat Singh, if her body continues like this, the way she is playing today, she is the national champion today for all practical purposes. And she lost to Joshna last year. So for us as a sport, it is a fantastic recognition. You have very few players who have got the Padma Shri and the Arjuna, being an Arjuna Awardee and a Padma Shri. Very few players. What better recognition can you get for the sport other than the recognition from the Government of India? Which means that the sport has developed to such an extent that it is recognized by the government and the player is rewarded for it. And we are all for it.
Thank you, sir.